Morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. Given the other two breakout sessions contain World Cup winners, I'm kind of honoured to have you all to come and listen to Rick and I. I'm Ross. I'm VP for Insight, Analytics and Loyalty at LIV, which means I do a lot of the hard work and don't get to go to Australia and Singapore for 3 weeks. But in the absence of my other colleagues, you're stuck with me.
I'm Rick Allen. I'm the CEO of ViewLift, and we'll talk in a minute about what ViewLift is and what we've been working on with LIV Golf.
Okay, so I mean it's a fairly knowledgeable audience, so I won't go into all the history of LIV Golf, but as a brand, the brand is less than 400 days old. We've just played our 32nd round of golf. We're very much developing as we go. The premise of the brand is to bring energy, excitement to the sport of golf, bringing new fans, bringing new audiences, take the sport around the world to places where it perhaps hasn't always been able to get to. And in doing so, and what you'll hear from myself and Rick here with ViewLift is how do we find the right partners 400 days ago that can sort of build a credible offer in the market to allow fans, younger fans, new fans to golf, to watch golf in the way they want through a platform they want to, and at the same time get a global sports brand up and running. So I think I'll talk about the problems we faced and how Rick and his team became part of that solution in a bit more detail. But as we go through and as you think about what you're going to see here, not as an excuse or a get out, I want you just to remember that less than 400 days old. I'm sure there's some rights holders in the room and brand owners in the room who are way past their 400th day. So I'd like you to turn your minds back and think about that. For anyone who hasn't seen LIV Golf, isn't familiar with ViewLift, we'll just play a very short 30-second video just to bring it to life, and then we'll go from there.
LIV Golf launched its direct-to-consumer live and on-demand streaming service to provide access to its exclusive golf content to the global audience. Seamless user experience across various streaming platforms like web, iPhone, Android, Apple TV, Fire TV, and Xbox One, and more. Exceptional streaming experience winning users applause. ViewLift is proud to power LIV Golf's DTC streaming platform to success.
So we'll take that as our segue into Rick speaking first. But I think as I said before, what we're trying to do through our ViewLift platform and LIV Golf Plus is to make sure the audience around the world, whether in markets where we don't necessarily have a linear deal or in partnership with a linear deal, that we're allowing people to view how they want to, where they want to, when they want to.
Just a word about ViewLift. We're a little bit older than 400 days. We're actually 15 years old now. We were one of the first over-the-top direct-to-consumer platforms, and we've been doing it since that time. We were the 11th developer for the iPad, for example, and the first long-form channel on Roku. We've been a launch or near launch partner for all of the major OTT devices around the world. You'll see the devices that we enable our clients to reach in that third row. And you'll also see some of our principal sports as well as media clients. We're a streaming and monetization full set of digital solutions that allows our clients to reach fans around the world on the devices that they select and at the time and place of their choosing. We have a particular expertise in live sports, but we also handle VOD as we do for LIV Golf.
Okay, so let's go back 400 days or so and talk about the problem, and before Rick goes into full sales mode. So I think from our side, starting off as a global entertainment brand and recognizing that our ambition and scale, the first part of the problem, and I think other people I'm sure will use similar analogies this week, which is about we're building the plane, we're flying it all at the same time. And I think what we were very keen to find in our offer was a partner who could evolve as we evolve. We started a year ago, not knowing where our what our broadcast strategy and content would look like by the end of the year. We wanted to make sure that we were able to provide video on demand at the scale that we were keen to reach, and we wanted to do that in such a way that it was engaging for our viewers, engaging for our fans, had the ability to layer on more innovation as we go, which I'll talk about later on. So we started off last year, I think everyone will know, with a free-to-air strategy through YouTube. And this year we've moved into a kind of more blended strategy where we have linear deals, we have OTT deals, we have subscription deals in different markets. LIV Golf Plus is iterative to all that, allowing people to watch live, allowing people to watch highlights, everything you would expect. I think where we landed with the ViewLive team was a team that shared our same ambition, but also had the ability to collaborate, also had the ability to probably work to an ever-changing brief, ever-changing timelines, and a set of demands on them that was second to none. But I think without heaping too much praise on Rick and the team, they really have become a huge partner within our business and really delivered that. So I'll hand on to Rick just to talk about the solution in year one and year two, and then we'll look at some of the results.
As Ross indicated, the schedule was really attenuated in first season to be able to empower the live streams of the events. We had about 2 weeks turnaround time. LIV Golf was focused, as they should have been, on their players, on the events themselves. This second season, we had a little bit more running room, and that allowed us to expand from the initial devices that we had in the first season to a broader set, as you see here. And you see indicated the logos of the devices where we have LIV Golf as an application native to those platforms. We are also constantly evolving what the service is, as Ross mentioned, as LIV Golf decides where it wants to emphasize and continues to layer in new views and opportunities for fans. We've picked that up through the LIV Golf apps. And the next slide shows us some of the results that we've achieved already. And I think, Ross, why don't you walk us through that?
So this is all pre-Adelaide. So just want to take you through some of the headlines, really. So we've broadcast over 50 hours live. We've also got a huge amount of highlights that are contained on the app now. We've seen significant growth in users. I feel that half the room can't see this, so does this mess everything up if I stand here? We've seen significant growth since event one. Our downloads are impressive in terms of how we go there. I think importantly for all of us who are app users, our ratings are good. The app works, it delivers well. Despite all the stress and strain we put on it at launch, it became the #1 sports app, over 1 million views and counting, and we have users in 101 countries. So bearing in mind this is, back from Mayakoba in Mexico at the start of this year, the numbers are good. We're pleased with them. There's good intent. There's some great, I'm not going to share because of commercial sensitivities and things like that, but we have good dwell time in the app. We've got great viewer length in terms of how long people are staying on for. But I think what's important in the spirit of what we're trying to do with LIV and working with Rick's team is making sure that we're not sort of resting on our laurels. So I think, Rick, you want to talk first about sort of expansion into more devices, then I'll talk a bit more about our sort of content ambitions.
This really has been a constant evolution, as we've mentioned, and so the next step is to continue to reach more over-the-top devices, again, so that fans have choice maximized. That's the first part of the expansion. But additionally, we want to take that #1 sports app standing and extend it as new avenues are provided to allow fans to participate more in an active viewing experience. And Ross, you can walk us through that.
Yeah, so I think what we'll I mean, you don't need to read this, so I'm going to sit down. I think what you'll start to see as the app evolves, and this is one of the strengths of working with the ViewLift team, is we're doing a lot of fan research and feedback through the app, a lot of fan research with fans tuning at home to really start to understand what content the app should have going down the line. So those of you who may have tuned in over the weekend from Adelaide will have seen the ability to follow the Ripper team solely through the app. We have dedicated feeds from the par 3, so anyone tuning in can watch all of hole 12, say in Adelaide last week, the watering hole, and can watch specific hero holes at Sentosa this weekend. What we also want to start to do, and if I put away from my analytics role, put my loyalty hat on, is how do we start to bring in unique content into the app for members who join the loyalty program? So we don't have a massive pre-show, particularly at the moment, but what we will do through the app is start to give fans early access before golf is played, so cameras on the driving ranges, specific team cameras behind those teams as they warm up on the practice greens, and start to bring more and more unique content into the app itself. Starting, the ambition being to allow the fan to almost become their own director, curate their own content. We have, for those of you who have watched, have somewhat of a gamified graphics package in the way that we show golf. For most people that works. For some people that's not their cup of tea. And I think one of the things we'll start to do through the app as well is giving people the chance to sort of pull back on some of that content and make it as, let's call it, as pure as they want it to be, or to make it look as much like golf on a video game as they would want it to do. And of course, there's anyone in the room who's got an app, there's more to come around trivia, around polls, around more fan engagement. But I think what we've seen with ViewLift is a platform that and a team that have had massive demand and have been able to sort of rise to that occasion. So before we go into Q&A, I'll just give Rick the opportunity to wrap things up.
Thank you, Ross, for all those words. I also want to acknowledge my colleague, Fabio Gallo. Fabio, maybe you can raise your hand to the audience. We're very delighted to have Fabio back after a stint at La Liga. This is a case study, and so I think there are probably 4 thoughts that I'd leave you with in terms of what our experience working with LIV Golf has presented. 1, digital is a wonderful complement to linear distribution. It can work very effectively as linear distribution starts to ramp up. And that's really the way that LIV approached this whole issue. The second is that when you have a very rich property in terms of number of events, number of perspectives, digital, because it doesn't face shelf space limitations, really allows an enormous opportunity to showcase all of the content that a sport has to its fans in a way that's difficult to do on linear. And it fills in the map where there may be linear partners, but they may not take all of an event or a season as an example. The third is the approach that I think the parties had for this venture, and that was to truly be strategic partners, to understand what LIV's intentions were, how they intended to develop the property over the course of years, and to help complement that with technical solutions. And the fourth, which again you've heard throughout our comments this morning, is the constant innovation to get into the market rapidly and innovate on the top of that, constantly bringing an enhanced experience to the fan base.